So इसमें ये कि combustion analysis and what happens in combustion analysis what you try and do is you try and burn a hydrocarbon, and by burning a hydrocarbon what you try and figure out is what the formula is. Now hydrocarbons can have many different formulas. You could have CH4, you could have C4H10, you could have C2H4, alkanes, even the organic molecules which have oxygen in them, they can be burnt. And every time you're going to get a different ratio of carbon dioxide and water and the amount of oxygen. Every time it's going to be a different ratio. Like if I burn methane, one molecule would react with two oxygen molecules, produce one carbon dioxide and two water molecules. If I reacted with butane, it would be reacting with 6.5 molecules of O2, 4 CO2s, and 5 H2Os. So by looking at the ratio of the oxygen getting used up and the amount of carbon dioxide and the amount of water that's being produced, I can figure out what the formula of the hydrocarbon is. C2H4, that's kind of similar. You get a different ratio, okay? Is the idea clear? Okay, what we're trying to accomplish here. Clear? Emma, is this clear, Sidra? Amna, is this clear?
Yes.
So the point is every time I burn a hydrocarbon, I get a different ratio. And by looking at the ratio of the quantities of carbon dioxide, water, and oxygen that are used up and produced, I can kind of guess what the formula is. Okay, because so how do I do that? Okay, that's the question. So for example, what I need to do is the two ways let's talk about just one way. The thing is, I have an unknown hydrocarbon and I'm going to call it CXH, just as it is written over there. Okay, so the hydrocarbon is unknown. Okay, let's bring this over here. Okay, I don't know what the formula is. What X and Y indicate is, what does X and Y represent? They just represent that you've got X carbons and you've got N hydrogen, Y hydrogens. Now you have no idea what X and Y is. So I'm going to try and balance this equation in terms of X and Y. As a pedal, look over there, okay? Look at the equations above. Now I don't know what my quantity of X is. I don't know what carbon is. I don't know what this number is. Is it C2 or is it C4 or is it C1? I have no idea. So I've written it as X. Okay, because I have no idea what this stands for. So I'm calling it X. So यहाँ पे देखो कि whatever happens, whatever number you've got over here, if it's 4, C4, how many carbon dioxides you got? You got 4 carbon dioxides. If it's C2, how many carbon dioxides you got? You got 2 carbon dioxides, right? So if there's X carbons, an unknown quantity of carbon, so how many carbon dioxides you're going to get? You're going to get X carbon dioxide molecules. Is this point clear? I'm trying to balance the equation in terms of X and Y. Okay, is this clear? Ray, this is clear. Amna, is this clear? Sidra? Am I clear?
Yes.
Achha, what about this one? Let's talk about the other number. Okay, here's another number. And it says 10. That I've got 10 hydrogens. So how many water molecules I've got? I've got 5 water molecules, right? If I have 4 hydrogens, how many water molecules I've got? I've got 2 water molecules. So if I've got 4 hydrogens over there, I've got 2 water molecules over here. So look at the ratio, okay? Whatever number of hydrogens I've got over here, the number of water molecules is half of that. Okay, if I've got 10 hydrogens, so on this side, I've got 5 water molecules. If I have 4 hydrogens, then on this side, I've got 2 water molecules, okay? Just 1 second, let me add people. Achha, so the point is, whatever number I've got over here, 10 hydrogens, I'll have 5 water molecules. Okay? If I've got Y hydrogens over here, I'm going to have Y. डिवाइड बाय 2 वाटर मॉलिक्यूल्स, हाफ हो जाएगा, ठीक है। 4 hydrogens, 2 water molecules, 10 hydrogens, 5 water molecules. Is that clear?
Yes.
So I'm trying to balance it in terms of X and Y. So the last difficult part is balancing oxygen. So how many oxygens I've got? I've got 2 into 2, that's 4 oxygens, right? How many oxygens I've got over here? 4 into 2, that's 8. So how many oxygens I've got over here? X into 2, that's... So I've got 2x oxygens over here. Right? So how many oxygens I've got over here? I've got 5 into 1, that's 5 oxygens. How many oxygens I've got over here? 2 into 1, that's 2 oxygens. How many oxygens I've got over here? That's y by 2 oxygens, right? Y by 2 into 1. Okay, I'm exactly following what's above. Okay, whatever number I've got over here, that's the number of oxygens. 5 oxygens. If it's 2 water molecules, it's 2 oxygens. Whatever number I've got over here, the number of oxygens is going to be double that. It's going to be 8. Over here, it's going to be 4. Over here, it's going to be 2x, double that. Okay. So I've found on the right side, I've found the number of oxygens. It's 2x plus y by 2 oxygens. Is this clear?
Sir,
हाँ जी.
can you repeat this?
अच्छा, मैं दोबारा रिपीट कर रहा हूँ कि माज यहाँ पे हो ही रहे कि I was talking about combustion analysis और उसमें मैंने कहा था कि hydrocarbons का formula, there's a way of figuring out hydrocarbon formula. Okay, you try and burn it. Every time the ratio is going to be different. C4H10, you get different ratios of carbon dioxide, water, and oxygen getting used up. C2H4, it's a different ratio. Okay? Every time the equation is going to be balanced differently. So the combustion analysis में आप क्या करते हो? Okay, by just looking at the quantities of carbon dioxide and water produced and the quantity of oxygen getting used up, you can figure out the formula of the hydrocarbon. बात समझ आ रही है?
जी सर.
अच्छा, अब ये कि now the next thing is कि we are trying to burn an unknown hydrocarbon. We're trying to figure out the formula. Okay, that unknown hydrocarbon is CXHY. I have no idea what X is. I have no idea what Y is. So I'm trying to balance this equation in terms of X and Y because X and Y is unknown. Okay, तो उसमें if I try to balance it, तो if it's C2, तो यहाँ पे क्या होगा? 2 CO2s. If it's C4, यहाँ पे क्या होगा? 4 CO2s. If it's CX, तो यहाँ पे क्या होगा? X CO2. Is that clear?
जी सर.
अच्छा, what about हाइड्रोजन को बैलेंस करो? 10 यहाँ पे आएगा तो वहां पे क्या आएगा? 5 वाटर मॉलिक्यूल्स. अगर यहाँ पे 4 आएगा तो वहां पे क्या आएगा? 2 वाटर मॉलिक्यूल्स, राइट?
जी.
तो अगर यहाँ पे y होगा तो वहां पे क्या होगा? y by 2, मतलब हाफ होगा. जो भी, I mean, you can make any equation, balance it. The amount of water molecule would always be half of this number. Is that clear?
Yes sir. सर हमेशा सेकंड एलिमेंट जो है वो डिवाइड होगा और फर्स्ट वाला जो है मल्टीप्लाई होगा.
बैलेंसिंग है ना कि अगर मैं बैलेंसिंग करता हूँ, आई बैलेंस एनी, कोई भी कर लो, C5 H12 को कर लेते हैं. ठीक है, तो मुझे बताओ कि if I reacted with oxygen, what do I get? How many CO2s would I get? I would get 5 CO2s, right? Clear है?
जी सर.
इसका मतलब है कि यहाँ पे जो भी नंबर होगा ना, तो वहां पे CO2 की जो क्वांटिटी होगी वो एग्जैक्टली सेम होगी. तो अगर यहाँ पे X कार्बन होगा तो वहां पे CO2s क्या होंगे? X कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड होंगे. इज दैट क्लियर?
यस सर.
और अमाउंट ऑफ वाटर मॉलिक्यूल्स क्या होंगे? वाटर मॉलिक्यूल्स जो होंगे वो डिवाइड बाय, वहां पे 12 है तो यहाँ पे 6 होगा ना. क्लियर है?
जी.
तो यहाँ पे जो भी नंबर होगा वहां पे वाटर मॉलिक्यूल्स होंगे उसके हाफ होंगे. तो यहाँ पे अगर y होगा तो यहाँ पे वाटर मॉलिक्यूल्स क्या होंगे? y by 2 होंगे. क्लियर है ये बात? माजी क्लियर है?
जी सर.
अब जो ट्रिकी पार्ट है ना, वो ऑक्सीजन को बैलेंस करना है. ऑक्सीजन मुझे बताओ यहाँ पे क्या होगा? 5 into 2 10 हो जाएगा. मतलब यहाँ पे जो भी नंबर होगा ऑक्सीजन की क्वांटिटी डबल होगी उससे. अगर 4 CO2s होंगे तो 4 into 2 हो जाएगा. अगर 2 CO2s होंगे तो ऑक्सीजन क्या होंगे? 2 into 2 हो जाएगा. अगर X CO2s होंगे तो ऑक्सीजन क्या होगा? 2 into X हो जाएगा ना. क्लियर है? और यहाँ पे the amount of oxygen would be 6 water molecules and 6 oxygens, 2 water molecules, 2 oxygens, 5 water molecules, 5 oxygens. So if they have Y by 2 water molecules, there would be Y by 2 oxygens. Is that clear as well? ठीक है, तो इन सारों को अगर मैं टोटल करूँ ना तो 2x oxygens यहाँ पे हैं, Y by 2 oxygens यहाँ पे हैं, so the total number of oxygens is 2x plus Y by 2 oxygens. ठीक है, is this clear? So is this clear? Right, clear है आमना?
Sir, I need to ask something.
Yes.
जो y की वैल्यू अगर कोई like 7 हो तो उसका आधा like 7/2 होगा.
हाँ, मतलब we can try that. ठीक है. If remember, I'm trying to keep this as one molecule. ठीक है. In all of these, the hydrocarbon is taken as one. So let's say I have an odd number, right? Let's say I've got C3 and H7. Now, I'm not really sure actually if you can get an odd number of hydrogens in an actual molecule. I mean, but first thing, let's try if a hydrocarbon can have an odd number of hydrogens. So if all of them are hydrogens, that would be 8, right? So the question is, remember it's a hydrocarbon. How can you get an odd number of hydrogens? Like you put a double bond, it's still not a odd number of hydrogens. It's got 3 plus 3, that's 6. I mean, I can add a triple bond. Okay, even then it's not an odd number because I would have to get rid of 2 more hydrogens. It's still 4 at the moment. 3 is carbon atom ke saath hai or 1 of them is over there. So is this clear? The first thing is you're not going to get an odd number of hydrogens in a hydrocarbon. Is this clear?
Yes.
And the second thing is, even if you do get an odd number of hydrocarbons, and if I try to balance it, I react it with oxygen, I get carbon dioxide, and I get water. But I'm going to try and balance it. I'm going to try and make this even. I'm going to double this. Okay. The reason I'm doubling this is okay, I don't want to go into fractions right at the start. So that's 6 carbons, right? So 6 carbon dioxides. How many waters? There's 14. So this would be 7, right? And I can balance the oxygens. The oxygens would be 6 into 2, 12, 12 plus 7. That's what? 12 plus 7 is 19. So the amount of oxygen molecules over here would be 19 divided by 2. So now what I can do is I want to keep the first one as 1. So I can divide the whole equation by 2. So that the first one is 1. So this one would become 19 divided by 4. This would become divided by 2, it would become 3. And this would become 7 by 2. If the first one is kept as one molecule, is that clear? You're getting 7 by 2. Clear?
Yes.
As the first thing is you're not going to get I don't think you'll be able to get an odd number of hydrogens in a hydrocarbon. Okay? That would be kind of impossible. But anyways, I've managed to calculate the number of oxygens on my right side. Okay? मैंने ऊपर वाले से देख लो 2 into 2 4, so this would be x into 2, that would be 2x oxygens. यहाँ पे कितने oxygens हैं? 2 into 1, that's 2 oxygens. तो यहाँ पे I did y by 2 into 1, that's y by 2 oxygens, and I collected them together, that's 2x plus y by 2. अब ये करना है कि यहाँ पे जो भी oxygens आते हैं, whatever oxygens you get over here, in this case, how many are you getting over here? That's 4 plus 2 over here, so that's a total of how many oxygens? 6 oxygens. तो वहां पे O2 को किससे मल्टीप्लाई करते हो? 3 से, that's half of that. ठीक है, हर दफा O2 जो है ना वो हाफ इधर ऊपर वाले में कर लो. ऊपर वाले में ऊपर वाले में if I take this, how many oxygens I've got? I've got 4 into 2, that's 8. 8 plus 5 over here, that's 13. So that means I've got 13 oxygens, right? तो वहां पे किस नंबर से मैं मल्टीप्लाई करता हूँ? I multiply that by 13 by 2. Is that clear? कि जितनी भी ऑक्सीजन यहाँ पे है तो यहाँ पे जो नंबर मैं सिलेक्ट करूंगा ना to multiply with O2, that would be half of that. Is that clear? तो यहाँ पे हमारे पास कितने ऑक्सीजन आ रहे हैं 2x plus y by 2. तो इधर जो नंबर मैं सिलेक्ट करूंगा ना that would be half of this. What is half of this? That would be x plus y by 4. मतलब उसका हाफ करो ना 2x का तो वो x हो जाता है और y by 2 का हाफ करो that becomes y by 4. Is this clear? This last thing. Yes or no? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है बस ये करना है ऊपर वाली कोई भी इक्वेशन उसका कंपेयर करना शुरू कर दो 2 carbons 2 carbon dioxide x carbon dioxide 4 hydrogens तो उधर हाफ हो गया 2 हो गया इधर y hydrogens तो उधर y by 2 हो गया ठीक है हाफ हो गया ऑक्सीजन काउंट किए तो 2 into 2 यहाँ पे x into 2 ठीक है that's 2x यहाँ पे 2 into 1 that's 2 oxygens तो यहाँ पे y by 2 into 1 so you got y by 2 oxygens ठीक है और टोटल ऑक्सीजन आ गए और जो भी ऑक्सीजन यहाँ पे आते हैं उधर जो मल्टीप्लाई करते हो ना दैट्स हाफ दैट नंबर ठीक है if you get 6 oxygens you multiply that by 3 so if you get 2x plus y by 2 oxygens you multiply the oxygen molecule by half of that would be x plus y by 4 so now your equation is balanced in terms of x and y and that's your general equation for a hydrocarbon combustion. So is this clear?
Yes.
Emil, clear?
Yes.
Achha, the good thing is you don't actually have to do this. You just have to memorize this, okay? I mean, it's a lot easier to memorize this. I mean, doing this is kind of confusing, okay? So you have to, and you won't have that much, I mean, you won't have that much time to actually balance an equation in terms of x and y. So the best option is just memorize this, okay? Because you'll be running out of time. तो किसी पास इतना फालतू टाइम है कि वो बैठ के पेपर के अंदर ना ये सब करेगा. So just memorize the general equation for a hydrocarbon that's burning, combusting. Okay, just 1 second. What's going on here? So no idea. Achha, so memorize this equation. And does this equation work or not? I mean, you can find it out. I mean, let's say I take a random hydrocarbon. I'm going to use this, okay? Let's say I have a hydrocarbon. It's got C20 and H42. It's an alkane. It's going to burn with oxygen. I'm just going to test, okay, is this going to work or not? Achha, it's going to produce carbon dioxide and water molecule. Now, ek to aasan tareeka hai. What I can do is I can just try and balance it the usual way. Achha, but I actually wanted to check, is this general hydrocarbon combustion equation going to work? What's the value for x and y? X over here is 20. And what's the value of y? Y over here is 42. Is that clear? You've got x which is 20 and y which is 42. So यहाँ पे जरा calculate करो ना, tell me what the value is. X plus y by 4. That would be 20 plus 42 divided by 4. What do you get? I mean, I'm going to add that. Okay, so this one is, let's go to so I'm just going to add that x, that's 20, plus y by 4, that would be 42 divided by 4. Can you even do the math on the calculator and tell me what this value is? Of x carbon dioxides, you got x over here. So over here you're going to have x carbon dioxides. X is 20. और यहाँ पे क्या होगा? यहाँ पे water के साथ there would be y by 2 hydrogens. So what is y by 2? That's 42 divided by 2. I'm just checking whether this equation x or y key terms, does it work even or not? Did anyone do this? What is 42 divided by 4?
30.5.
So this comes out to be 30.5, right? So you're getting 30.5. 5, or you can call it 61. Yes, Maz.
सर ये जो अभी आपने डिवाइड बाय 4 किया है, हमेशा हमने डिवाइड बाय 4 ही करना होता है या फिर?
हाँ, मतलब जो हमने जनरल इक्वेशन बनाई है उसमें तो वही है, डिवाइड बाय 4 आ रहा है ना। ठीक है, अच्छा वो 30.5 is 61 divided by 2, right? अच्छा ये क्या होगा, 42 divided by 2, that's 21, right? अच्छा this one is 21. अच्छा तो देख लेते हैं इक्वेशन बैलेंस्ड है कि नहीं बैलेंस्ड, ठीक है? I just want to see. हाँ
ऑटो
जी,
के साथ ऊपर, अच्छा y के नीचे बस 4 हमेशा डिवाइड करना है, x के
हाँ
साथ नहीं
x
है।
प्लस x के साथ नहीं है, मतलब वो था ना 2x plus y by 2 ऑप्शन इस साइड पे थे, जब मैं उधर लेके गया तो उसको हाफ कर दिया, तो it became x plus y by 4. ठीक है, अच्छा so I'm just checking whether this equation works or not. कि it's a general equation so it should work. मतलब x और y की वैल्यूज पुट करो, वैसे तो हम बैलेंस इसको वैसे भी we could have balanced it in the normal way, but I'm just checking whether this works or not. अच्छा so you can find 20 carbons, that's fine. 42 hydrogens, you got 42 hydrogens over here as well. Count the oxygens. How many oxygens you got? You got 40 plus 21. That is 61 oxygens. तो यहाँ पे O2 को किससे मल्टीप्लाई करोगे? 61 divided by 2 से. Is that clear? So that means that this equation works. Okay, you can use this equation to balance any hydrocarbon equation. Is that clear? That this equation works. That's the first thing. मतलब अभी हमने इस इक्वेशन का करना क्या है वो हम बाद में देखते हैं, but is that clear? Everyone, is this clear? Maz, ठीक है. अच्छा, now the next point is, okay, why do we need that equation in the first place? Okay, I mean, we could have balanced it just the normal way. ठीक है, why do we need that equation in the very first place? So the reason we need this equation is, उसका use यहाँ पे आएगा. And let's do a question. क्योंकि मसला ये कि when you're trying to find the formula of the hydrocarbon, the problem would be you wouldn't know what x and y are. I mean, that would be unknown. मतलब इधर तो वो known था ना, तो इसलिए हमें पता था, I could have balanced it. ठीक है. The bigger problem is कि I don't know what the formula is. I don't know what x is. I don't know what y is. So let's do a question. ठीक है. And उस question में ना ये तो मोल्स था, किधर गया? Where's the hydrocarbon stuff? अच्छा, combustion. Can anyone see combustion analysis? ऐसे moles and gas के अंदर ना, there are going to be questions related to combustion analysis. So let's talk about this question, and I'll just copy this question. इसको तो ही ले जाते हैं. अच्छा, let's talk about this question. इसको हम यहाँ पे करते हैं solve. अच्छा, now this question is actually गलत question उठा लिया, हाइड्रोकार्बन ना उठाना था. Just a second. Okay, hydrocarbonate. CS2. Sorry, just a second. This one. Okay, so he's talking about a pure hydrocarbon. Remember, उसने mentioned किया था कि it's a pure hydrocarbon. अब issue है कि I have no idea what that hydrocarbon is, but I do have the general equation of its balancing. Okay, I know it's CXHY. Okay, but I don't know what the formula is. Okay, I know it's going to react with x plus y by 4 oxygens. So that is something I'm aware of. Okay, remember to memorize this equation. I know it's going to produce X carbon dioxide molecules and it's going to produce Y by 2. As it's going to produce Y by 2 water molecules. So here's a hydrocarbon that's burning. तो उसने कहा कि क्या volume है hydrocarbon का? That's 10 cm3. We already mentioned that. So it's the hydrocarbon is 10 cm3. So it burns with 70 cm3 of oxygen and the final gaseous mixture contains 30 cm3 of carbon dioxide. So it produces 30 cm3 of carbon dioxide. And there's 20 cm3 of unreacted oxygen. So इसका क्या मतलब है कि start में he added 70 cm3 of oxygen, which he clearly stated was in an excess. And now he's saying that 20 cm3 of unreacted oxygen is still left at the end of the reaction. So that means कितनी react कर रही है reaction में? 50 cm3. Is this clear? Mass clear? Ahmed? Amna? So there's this there.
Yes.
Achha, so you started with 70 cm3 and there's 20 cm3 of unreacted oxygen. So that means only 50 took part in the reaction. And that's the only thing that's given. And I need to find out the formula of the hydrocarbon. Now remember for gases, okay, the mole ratio and volume ratio is exactly the same. Okay, gases mein yaad rakhna ki if it's 10 reacting with 50 and they're all gases, and he didn't mention anything about water. So I have no idea what water is. I have no idea. This information is missing. But remember for gases, the mole ratio and volume ratio are exactly the same. So what is the mole ratio? That means, okay, 1 mole of this compound is going to react with how many oxygens? 5 oxygens. And it's going to produce 3 moles of carbon dioxide. So that means 1 molecule is going to produce 5 carbon dioxide molecules. So what's the value of X? Value of X is 3. And what's the value of Y? The data suggests that 1 molecule reacts with 5 O2s. So that means the value of X plus Y by 4 should come out to be equal to 5. Is this point clear? Okay, I didn't know what the hydrocarbon was, but I had this information which was given to me. Okay, 10 cm3 was reacting with 50 and it was producing 30 cm3 of carbon dioxide. From that, I figured out that for gases, mole ratio and volume ratio is exactly the same. So 1 mole would react with 5 moles of O2 and would produce 3 moles of CO2. So I figured out that the value of X is 3. And 1 mole would react with 5 moles of O2. So that means the value of this entire thing would be 5. Is this clear? Clear, sound read? Is this clear, Sidra?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So now the only thing you have to do now is, it's easy. You just have to, you already figured out what X is. Substitute 3 over here. It's going to be 3 plus Y by 4 is equal to 5. Get the 3 to the other side. This would become 2. And what would be your value of Y? That would be 8. Okay, so you figured out what the formula is. The formula of the hydrocarbon is C3 and H8. Okay, you figured out, okay, X is 3 and Y is going to come out to be 8. So it's pretty easy. It's like, if you know the equation, the only thing you have to figure out is, okay, what is the ratio in which the react? What are the ratios of these things? The data would be given in the question. All you have to do is, the first one has to be 1 mole. Okay, just remember that. The first one, whatever ratio you get, the first one has to be 1 mole. Because jo humne balance ki thi na, uske andar the first one was 1 mole. This was X plus Y by 4, this was X and this was Y by 2. And you've been able to figure out the formula. Iski ab equation bana ke bhi dekh lo. So oxygen ke molecules jo honge na, moles jo honge, that would come out to be 5. Okay, is this clear? This question.
जी सर.
So just remember this equation. और कर लेते हैं इस तरह के forget this. अच्छा, let's say here's another combustion analysis question, ठीक है? तो इसको जल्दी से कर लेते हैं. Equation बस आनी चाहिए कि what's the equation के you got यहीं पे कर लेते हैं. You got CXHY reacts with how many O2s? X plus Y by 4. And it produces how many CO2s? X CO2s, and it produces Y by 2 water molecules, right? अच्छा, ये equation है. Data क्या कह रहा है? Data कह रहा है. अच्छा, just remember the first one has to be 1 mole. अच्छा, data suggests it's 0.2 moles of hydrocarbons. So this one is 0.2 moles. And he gave us that it produces 35.2 grams of carbon dioxide. How many moles is that? Mass divided by MR of carbon dioxide is 44. So can anyone quickly tell me what are the moles that we're getting for this? इसका क्या आ रहा है हमारे पास?
4/5.
नहीं, 35.2 divided by 4.
0.8.
0.8.
Yes.
Yes.
अच्छा, water के भी निकालो. Water के भी moles दिए हैं. 14.4 divided by water is 18. MR is 18. 14.4 divided by 18. So I think it would come out to be, check कर लो, 0.8 moles.
G.
So I figured out the moles. I figured out how many carbon dioxide. But remember, the first one has to be 1 mole. So how do I convert the moles into a whole number ratio? I divide everything by 0.2. Well, I divide everything by 0.2. So this would become 1 mole. This would become 4 moles, right? And this would also become 4 moles. So remember, moles का जो ratio होगा ना, the first one has to be 1 mole, ठीक है? So I've converted the first one into 1 mole. So the ratio is 1 mole of the hydrocarbon produces 4 moles of CO2 and 4 moles of H2Os. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. तो मुझे बताओ कि इसका मतलब है कि 1 molecule is going to produce how many CO2s? 4 CO2s. So the value of X is basically 4. And 1 molecule is going to produce how many water molecules? 4 water molecules. So the value of Y by 2 is 4. Sorry, Y by 4, the value of Y by 2 is 4. ठीक है, क्योंकि equation suggest करिए water molecules कितने होने चाहिए? There should be 4 molecules. So that means the value of Y by 2 should be equal to 4. So that means the value of Y would come out to be equal to 8. So you figure out the value of X as well as Y. So your hydrocarbon is C4H8. ठीक है, he's talking about this particular hydrocarbon. Is that clear?
Yeah.
ठीक है, बाकी सबको क्लियर है?
जी सर.
अच्छा, इसी तरह इधर तो उसने equation, he's just asking for the equation, so we just did that. कौन सी वाली है? Is it D? I think it's D. ठीक है, was looking for the equation. अच्छा, और combustion analysis का question, just one more. Let's theory के अंदर देख लेते हैं. So there's going to be theory, combustion analysis, this one. So this one would be, how do I click this? Just a second. अच्छा, theory के जो questions होंगे, they would be slightly more difficult. पहले तो direct वही वाले करते हैं जो the ones that we were doing. Yep, this one. And they gave you the equation as well. Now the theory questions would be kind of first one, there's a hydrocarbon CXHY and the volume that's being used is 25 cm3. So let's do this. 25 cm3, right? Now listen carefully. The sample was completely burned with 200 cm3 of oxygen, which is in excess. So that means he's using 200 cm3, but not all of it is going to react. So pehle to you have to, the task is you have to find out based on this, you would have to find out the exact quantity of oxygen that's getting used. So the final volume measured under the same conditions. Achha, what are the conditions? 37 degrees centigrade. At 37 degrees centigrade, water would be in liquid state. So remember, isko gas volume mein include nahi karna, theek hai? Don't include this in gas volumes because at 37 it's a liquid, theek hai? As a final volume measured under the same condition as the gaseous sample, so that the water produced is liquid and its volume can be ignored. So we're ignoring its volume. It's not a gas. So final volume, that's 150 cm3. So when all this reaction happened, now listen very, very carefully. The whole reaction happened, and he's saying that the final volume is 150 cm3. When this reaction happened. So what is this final volume? This final volume contains the carbon dioxide gas that's produced, right? Can anyone tell me what else does it contain? I mean, the reaction happened, it's got carbon dioxide that's getting produced. So the final volume contains carbon dioxide. What else does it contain apart from carbon dioxide? Anyone, Sidra, any idea? Amna, Mars, कोई idea? Yes or no, any idea? Emmett? Raid? आवाज आ रही है?
जी सर, ऑक्सीजन ही बोलने वाला है.
अच्छा, तो unreacted oxygen, क्योंकि remember he added excess of oxygen. So all the hydrocarbon would react. तो वो तो सारा गायब होगा. ठीक है, it's going to have carbon dioxide would be produced, and plus it's going to have the unreacted oxygen. अच्छा, फिर उसने कहा कि this final volume was treated with concentrated alkali to absorb the carbon dioxide, and you were supposed to decrease the volume of, and the volume decreased to 50 cm3. तो उसने कहा जब इस final volume में से ना carbon dioxide absorb की है, the volume decreased to 50 cm3. So if the volume decreased to 50 cm3, so how much carbon dioxide did it contain? He's saying he passed it through an alkali, ye wala part. He passed it through an alkali and the volume decreased to 50 cm3. That means, or alkali is specifically absorbing the carbon dioxide. So how much carbon dioxide does it have? It's got 100 cm3 of carbon dioxide. Because baki jo reh gaya, that's 50 cm3. It was very specific that only the carbon dioxide was absorbed. Out of the 150, when all the carbon dioxide was absorbed, the volume that was left was 50 cm3. So that means 50 cm3 is the unreacted oxygen, and 100 cm3 is the carbon dioxide that got absorbed. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So, anyways, this question was थोड़ा सा time लगेगा. We'll continue with this question. ठीक है, फिर उसको थोड़ा सा time आराम से करेंगे. We're running out of time. So we'll probably do this question next class, ठीक है, in a lot more detail. उसको फिर clearly आराम से जल्दी में करेंगे, फिर चीजें miss हो जाएंगी, ठीक है. So let's do this question next time in the next class. ठीक है, बाकी clear है. इसके अलावा ये तो question हमने complete की क्या इससे पिछला, the rest is all clear. वो सारा clear है?
Yes.
चलो ठीक है, let's continue tomorrow then. Okay everyone.
Okay, sir. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.
Okay, sir. Allah Hafiz.